Impossible. Sub-Commander Vexthra hissed, their crystalline appendages twitching in agitation as they studied the sensor readings for the fourth time. No pre-FTL civilization should be able to detect a Phantom-class vessel, let alone. The ship's emergency klaxons cut through their protest. Red warning lights bathed the bridge in an ominous glow as system after system began shutting down. Full status report. They demanded, but the crew's panic was already palpable. The Sk3 Dominion's most advanced scout ship, the Silent Whisper, hung dead in space at the edges of the primitive world solar system. "We're being probed," the sensor officer reported, their voice trembling. "The energy signature. It's unlike anything in our database. They're not just seeing through our cloaking technology. They're unraveling it." Vexthra's outer membrane paled. The Dominion's cloaking systems were based on principles that had taken their civilization millennia to perfect. Yet somehow, these humans, these creatures who still fought with chemical propellants and hadn't even colonized their own moon, were cutting through it like it was little more than vapor. "Send the emergency burst transmission to High Command," Vexthra ordered. "Tell them." The ship's quantum communications array went dark. Then the gravity generators, then life support. "They're not just scanning us," the engineering chief whispered. "They're learning. Each probe is more refined than the last. They're adapting their approach based on what they learn from each system they disable." Through the bridge's viewing portal, Vexthra watched as lights began appearing in the void around them. Ships. No, satellites. Primitive by Dominion standards, but there were hundreds of them, all reorienting toward the Silent Whisper's position. The last transmission they managed to send was brief. Error in initial assessment. Human technological development follows unprecedented patterns. Their military doctrine suggests. The Silent Whisper never completed its message. As its systems went dark one by one, the crew could only watch in horror as their supposedly inferior quarry demonstrated just how badly the Dominion had underestimated them. In a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched the alien vessel's signature fade from their quantum detection grid. "Looks like those transphasic probes we reverse-engineered from the Roswell crash just paid for themselves. 50 years of preparation, and they walked right into it." She turned to her international colleagues on the secured video feed. "Ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's time to implement Protocol Omega. We've just caught the attention of the galaxy's biggest fish. Let's show them why humanity's waters are far deeper than they appear. The war that would reshape the galaxy had begun. And for once, humanity had the first move." The Dominion flagship Eternal Majesty emerged from hyperspace like a meteor made of impossible geometries, its crystalline hull reflecting Earth's sun in patterns that defied human perception. At 18 kilometers long, it was designed to inspire awe and terror in equal measure. Supreme Commander Ixel stood on the bridge, 9-fingered hands clasped behind their back. "Begin the broadcast. Let's show these primitives true power." The message boomed across every frequency, transmitted in 300 languages. "People of Earth, your planet has been claimed by the Sk3 Dominion. Surrender within 30 solar rotations, and you will be permitted to serve as a protectorate species. Resist, and..." Laughter interrupted the transmission, not just from one source, but from thousands. Military commands worldwide had patched into the Dominion's frequency, and they were laughing. "Perhaps the translation matrix is malfunctioning," Ixel's second suggested. "No," the communications officer replied. "They're deliberately." They paused, mandibles clicking in confusion. "Supreme Commander," they're responding. But each nation is broadcasting in a different language, all simultaneously, all perfectly synchronized. The human's response filled the bridge. "Dear Sk3 Dominion, thank you for your generous offer. We've taken the liberty of analyzing your flagship's design from the quantum signature of your transmission. Fascinating architecture, though we've noticed 14 critical structural vulnerabilities. Would you like us to list them?" Ixal's outer membrane rippled with rage. Impossible. Our quantum protocols are based on a fascinating but ultimately flawed understanding of wave-particle duality, the humans continued, as if hearing them. We particularly enjoyed discovering how your ship's crystalline matrix can be destabilized by precisely calibrated gamma frequencies. Would you like a demonstration? From Earth's surface, General Chen watched through quantum-enhanced imaging as the alien flagship's crew erupted into chaos. The Dominion's superior technology was already being dissected by AI systems that had spent decades wargaming every possible first contact scenario. Should we show them the demonstration, General? Her weapons officer asked. Chen smiled. No, let them sweat. By now, they're realizing that the Silent Whisper wasn't destroyed. We captured it. And their precious flagship just transmitted us everything we needed to know about their entire battle network. She opened a channel to the Combined Earth Defense Council. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dominion just made 3 critical mistakes. They assumed we were primitive. They gave us time to prepare. And most importantly, her smile turned predatory. They told us exactly when they're coming back. In orbit, the Eternal Majesty retreated in disarray, its crew finally understanding what they'd awakened. They didn't know it yet, but their 30-day ultimatum had just become humanity's deadliest weapon. They're broadcasting their attack plans, the Dominion Fleet Commander announced, mandibles twitching in amusement. These humans don't even understand basic military encryption. Deep within NORAD, General Chen watched the alien fleet take formation exactly as predicted. Remarkable how easily they fell for it, she murmured, watching 6,000 years of human military deception come into play. Send the signal. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of seemingly primitive satellites suddenly shed their disguises. The weather monitoring systems revealed themselves as phase-shifted weapon platforms, their designs pulled straight from the captured Silent Whispers database. The Dominion fleet realized too late that they'd positioned themselves perfectly within the killing grid. Their own classified military frequencies, extracted from the Eternal Majesty's transmission, now burned with human battle chatter. What is Operation Trojan Horse? The fleet commander demanded, moments before their shields failed. The first volley didn't target their weapons or engines. Instead, precisely calibrated beams struck their life support systems, using the exact frequencies the Dominion had believed impossible for humans to generate. Fascinating species, aren't they? Dr. Raman's voice came through Chen's quantum comm. The xenobiologist had spent the last 3 weeks studying the captured SK-3 crew. They never developed deceptive warfare because their hive-mind-derived society made lying virtually impossible. They literally cannot conceive of military misdirection. On the main display, the Dominion fleet fractured into chaos as their own weapons turned against them. Emergency pods ejected in streams, their occupants broadcasting surrender signals. The greatest military minds in human history, Chen replied, watching the battle unfold. From Sun Tzu to von Clausewitz, all agreed. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. We just needed the right opportunity. The alien fleet commander's final transmission echoed across the command center. Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Their weapons are copies. Correction. Chen broadcast back. What you're seeing isn't just copy technology. It's your technology rebuilt by a species that spent its entire history preparing for this moment. Every war we fought, every battle we survived, was practice for today. As the last Dominion ship fell dark, a priority message flashed across Chen's screen. The captured alien crew had finally translated a collection of human military documents they'd been given. Their reaction was not what anyone expected. General, Dr. Raman's voice held a note of amazement. They just finished reading The Art of War. They're asking if we can teach them. Chen smiled. The real war hadn't even begun. But humanity had already won its most important victory. They'd made the galaxy's greatest military power realize they had something to learn. Supreme Commander Ixal watched the combined might of 3 Dominion battle fleets emerge from hyperspace, Their crystalline hulls darkened to absorption black. No transmissions, no warnings. This time, they would simply annihilate the humans' orbital defenses and end this embarrassment. Multiple hyperspace signatures. Chen's tactical officer reported. They're using some kind of light-absorbing metamaterial, nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Chen didn't look concerned. And to unconventional ones. Lighting up like Christmas trees on the quantum grid, ma'am. Looks like they didn't realize we kept a few tricks hidden during the last battle. The Dominion fleet moved into attack formation, their weapons charging. They expected to find Earth's orbital defenses where they'd been during the previous engagement. They found nothing. Missing something. Chen's voice cut through their command frequencies. Amazing what you can do with salvaged phase shift technology and a little human ingenuity. Here, let us show you. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of platforms shimmered into existence, not where the Dominion expected them, but in entirely new configurations, their designs radically altered from the previous encounter. Impossible. Ixal hissed. Those are Mark 7 quantum phase arrays. The designs were in our most secure databases. You couldn't have built and improved upon them in 3 weeks? Chen finished. You still don't understand what you're dealing with. Humanity spent centuries imagining ways to fight enemies exactly like you. We just needed the parts. The orbital platforms fired, but instead of attacking, they projected overlapping fields that trapped the Dominion ships in a complex web of quantum interference. You know what humans did before we had advanced technology. Chen continued, almost conversationally. We studied. We theorized. We imagined. Everything from our finest scientists to our children's entertainment was focused on one question. How would humanity survive an alien invasion? Ixal watched in horror as their ship's energy weapons dissipated harmlessly against reconfigured shields. Human vessels emerged from hidden positions, using hybrid technologies that shouldn't have been possible to combine. Fascinating design philosophy you have, Chen added. Very elegant, very logical. But that's your weakness. You only build what makes sense. Humans, we try the impossible, just to see if we can make it work. The battle lasted 6 minutes. When it ended, the largest Dominion fleet ever assembled had been reduced to drifting hulks by weapons they themselves had designed, but never imagined could be used this way. In the aftermath, as Earth's ships began rescue operations for surrendering crews, a message from the Dominion's youngest battle prince was intercepted. Send me everything you have on human military history. All of it. We've been fighting wrong our entire existence. The galaxy's balance of power had just shifted irreversibly. And it wasn't because humanity had better weapons. It was because they had better dreams. The Dominion High Council chamber erupted into chaos as the latest reports filtered in. Not from the front lines. Those had gone ominously silent, but from their own military academies. They're quoting human military texts in strategy sessions. First speaker Zixtol Rage. Our own warriors are practicing something called guerrilla warfare. This infection of ideas must be contained. On the main display, footage showed Dominion training grounds transformed. Young warriors moved in fluid, unpredictable patterns, abandoning their species' traditional crystalline formations for what their instructors now called adaptive response protocols. Speaker, a junior analyst interrupted, their membrane pale with fear. We've detected unauthorized modifications to our fleet's quantum arrays. The humans aren't just teaching our people their tactics. They're teaching them to improvise. The chamber fell silent. In 9,000 years of Dominion history, no such heresy had ever been spoken. In Earth orbit, General Chen reviewed the intelligence with a mixture of amusement and professional admiration. They're adapting faster than we expected, she noted, watching captured footage of Dominion ships executing perfect flanking maneuvers. Their young seem particularly eager to embrace new ideas. That's what scares their leadership most, Dr. Raman replied, gesturing to his Sinosociology displays. The Dominion maintained power through rigid technological and social control. But their warriors have tasted something new: innovation. A priority alert flashed across Chen's quantum feed. She opened it, then smiled. Well, looks like we got our first official defector. A battle prince named Kexti is requesting asylum and offering to bring his entire battle group with him. The feed showed a crystalline warship approaching Earth under a flag of truce. Its hull had been modified with distinctly human-inspired designs, prioritizing function over traditional Dominion aesthetics. They're calling it the Human Heresy, Raman continued, reading from his latest reports. Any deviation from standard doctrine is being labeled as human contamination. The thing is, he paused, mandibles clicking in their species' version of laughter, that's only making our approach more appealing to their youth. Chen nodded, remembering similar patterns from Earth's own history. Nothing makes an idea more attractive than trying to ban it, especially to the young. Her comm chimed. The battle prince's ship had docked, and his first words upon entering the airlock were not what anyone expected. Teach us everything. Not just how to fight. Teach us how to think like you. The Dominion calls you a virus, spreading through our society. The alien warrior's crystalline features shifted into what they'd learned was a smile. They don't realize that's the highest compliment they could pay you. Chen's response was lost in a sudden alert. Across Dominion space, more ships were breaking formation, their crews having made a simple but revolutionary choice. They'd rather learn from humanity than fight them. The graduation ceremony at the Dominion's elite combat academy had always been a model of precision and tradition. For 9 millennia, graduates had recited the same crystalline formations, performed the same ritual combat dances, pledged the same unbreakable oaths. Not anymore. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting, the valedictorian announced, her crystalline form gleaming as she addressed her class. These words, written by a human named Sun Tzu, represent everything the Dominion has forgotten. In the audience, first speaker Zixtal's outer membrane rippled with barely contained rage. Next to him, Supreme Commander Ixal watched with growing horror as the next generation of their finest warriors openly embraced human military philosophy. The valedictorian continued, "We've spent millennia perfecting our formations, polish our techniques until they shine like crystal. But we forgot the most important lesson. Crystals can shatter. Water, like humanity, adapts, flows, and ultimately reshapes the very stone it touches." Throughout the massive auditorium, young warriors unconsciously shifted their stance from the traditional rigid posture to a more fluid, adaptable position they'd learned from studying human combat footage. On Earth, General Chen watched the live feed with quiet satisfaction. "They're not just copying our tactics anymore," she observed. "They're understanding the philosophy behind them." Dr. Raman nodded, his displays showing real-time analysis of Dominion communication patterns. Their entire command structure is transforming. Look at these tactical networks. They're abandoning their hierarchical system for something more human. A priority alert flashed across their screens. Throughout Dominion space, ships were breaking formation, responding to a new signal. The revolution they predicted was happening faster than anyone expected. Back at the academy, the ceremony reached its climax. Traditionally, graduates would form a perfect crystalline lattice, symbolizing their unity with Dominion doctrine. Instead, they'd moved like water. The old guard calls this corruption. The valedictorian's voice rang out. They say humanity has infected us with their chaos. They're right. But they don't understand. This infection is evolution. Zixtal stood to order the ceremony halted. Before he could speak, a quantum pulse rippled through the chamber. Every graduate's combat armor reconfigured simultaneously, their crystalline patterns dissolving into flowing, organic forms. "We are the first wave," the valedictorian announced as Dominion security forces rushed in, only to find themselves facing warriors who moved like humans but fought with Dominion technology. And we're not alone. Throughout the galaxy, the same scene played out on 1,000 worlds. The Dominion's youngest warriors had made their choice. They would rather evolve than stagnate. In Earth orbit, Battle Prince Kexte watched the feeds with his human allies. "You didn't just teach us new ways to fight," he said quietly. "You taught us new ways to think. And that, as my human instructors would say, is a hell of a thing." The Dominion's reserve fleet emerged from hyperspace like a crystalline storm, 10,000 ships strong, every remaining vessel loyal to the old guard. Their formation was perfect, unchanging, and exactly what humanity expected. "They're desperate," General Chen observed from the bridge of the Earth flagship Adaptable. "They're committing everything to this final attack." Around her, the bridge hummed with activity. Human officers worked seamlessly alongside Dominion defectors, their movements fluid and unpredictable, like water wearing away stone. "All ships reporting ready," her XO announced. "Operation Looking Glass is in position." Chen nodded, remembering the countless simulations they'd run for this moment. "Send the signal. Let's show them what 9,000 years of stagnation costs you." The reserve fleet's commander, Ancient of Battles Zixtal, watched Earth's seemingly chaotic defense pattern with contempt. "Their disorder will be their downfall. Execute the eternal formation." But as his fleet moved to engage, something impossible happened. Every human ship, every defense platform, every fighter squadron suddenly shifted position. Not randomly, but in a perfect mirror of the Dominion's own formation. "Impossible," Zixtal whispered. "They've copied our sacred." "Not copied." Chen's voice cut through their command channel. "Predicted. You see, that's the problem with never changing. You become predictable." The human fleet moved again, their formation flowing like quicksilver into a new pattern, a pattern that exploited every weakness in the Dominion's supposedly perfect deployment. 9,000 years, Chen continued, and you never asked yourselves why these formations worked. You just accepted them. But we studied them, understood them, and then we broke them down to their component parts and rebuilt them into something new. Zixtal watched in horror as his fleet's choreographed dance of death became its own trap. Every counter-maneuver they launched was met with its perfect antithesis, as if the humans were reading from a script written millennia ago. "The greatest victory," Chen quoted, "is the battle not fought. You could have learned from us, could have grown. Instead, you chose extinction." But as the reserve fleet's formation crumbled, Chen gave an order that shocked both sides. "All ships, disable only. No destruction." Through the chaos of battle, Battle Prince Kexte turned to her in surprise. "They would not show us the same mercy." Chen smiled. "Exactly. And that's why we're winning. Not just the battle, but the future." She opened a channel to all ships, friend and foe alike. 9,000 years of doctrine ends today. The question is, what will you build in its place? The reserve fleet's response came not from their commanders, but from thousands of individual ships breaking formation simultaneously. They had made their choice. The battle was over. The revolution was complete, and humanity had won not through superior firepower, but by offering something far more powerful than victory: the chance to evolve. The Dominion High Council chamber, once a monument to crystalline perfection, now bore the marks of change. Pieces of its geometric architecture had been deliberately reshaped, flowing patterns merging with rigid structures, a physical manifestation of the transformation sweeping through their civilization. General Chen stood before the assembled council, her uniform pristine, but notably absent of weapons. Behind her, Battle Prince Kexte and a delegation of reformed Dominion warriors waited with impatience their species had never known before. "You could destroy us," First Speaker Zixtal acknowledged, his once proud voice heavy with defeat. "Our own warriors now fight like you, think like you. Our perfect order has been corrupted by your adaptability." "Destruction was never our goal," Chen replied, her voice carrying through the vast chamber. "If we wanted that, we wouldn't have spent so much effort teaching your people new ways to think." She gestured to the massive quantum display showing thousands of Dominion ships, their crystalline forms now modified with flowing, organic patterns. Your youngest warriors didn't just learn our tactics. They learned why we fight the way we do, why we value adaptation over perfection, why change is strength, not weakness. Kexti stepped forward, his modified armor reflecting both his heritage and his evolution. The humans have offered us something the Dominion forgot existed, the chance to grow. Not through conquest, but through exchange. The council chamber erupted in murmurs as Chen activated a holographic projection. It showed Earth's solar system, but transformed. Hybrid structures combining human ingenuity with Dominion technology orbited every planet. Ships of both species moved in formations that were neither rigid nor chaotic, but harmoniously adaptive. "This is our offer," Chen announced. "Not surrender. Not subjugation. Partnership. Earth becomes the proving ground for a new way. Your technology combined with our adaptability. Your order balanced with our chaos. Not perfect, but always evolving." The council's members shifted uncomfortably, their crystalline forms catching the light. "And if we refuse?" "Then you face extinction," Kexti answered. "Not from human weapons, but from your own people. We've tasted evolution. We will not go back." The chamber fell silent. 9,000 years of tradition weighted against the undeniable evidence before them. Their choice would reshape the galaxy. First speaker Zixtal rose slowly, his form beginning to shift in ways no council member had ever dared before. "We named ourselves the Dominion because we believed in perfect control. You taught us the strength of imperfection." He turned to Chen. "The deadliest species in the galaxy wasn't the one that could kill most efficiently. It was the one that could change its enemies into allies." "No," Chen corrected with a smile. "The deadliest species was the one that could change itself. And now, that's both of us." Above them, the chamber's crystalline dome began to flow like water, rigid geometry transforming into something new. Something that was neither human nor Dominion, but a glimpse of what they could become together. The mistake, it turned out, wasn't declaring war on the deadliest species. It was assuming that deadliest meant most destructive.